because you don't want to breathe this stuff. This is a great example showing you about the effects of things like acid rain and then about corrosion. So what I have here is I have a plastic bag. Imagine that this plastic bag that has air in it, this represents the air quality, the air in your community. And I'm just going to put it here. I'll have this white. Can you move the mouse? Careful. Thank you. I'll turn it the other way so that you can see the top of the Ziploc bag. Okay. So imagine that this air represents your community that you breathe in. Now what I have here is I've got a little petri dish thing, and I want you to imagine that this represents the water in your community. Nice, clean drinking water. It may come from the river and all that stuff. Okay, and we put that in there in your community. Now what we have here is that we have copper pennies. It works best with an American penny. And I'll just take this one here. And imagine that this copper penny represents your, copper fences, copper buildings, copper whatever materials around in your city. And I'm just going to put it right here on this wash glass. And I'm going to put that in here. Now everything looks fine. The copper will corrode over time with the presence of oxygen and water. Those two chemicals. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start affecting it by adding nitric acid. So imagine you start burning nitrogen out of the factories and cars. It binds with the water in the sky, forms the nitric acid, and now it starts precipitating down as acid rain. I'm going to go like this. Put a few drops of nitric acid, and then you can observe what's going to happen. Observe the color. And observe, there's going to be a brown smog that's going to produce. And I'm going to zip this up because we don't want to breathe this up close. I'm going to go like this. Not a lot. And then I'm just going to go like this. Do you notice right away? Look what happens to that penny. Imagine this is what happens downtown. In industrial areas where people are breathing this stuff. Look closely. If you want to come closer, look at what happens to the copper. It is now corroding. The copper is corroding, and remember we learned about copper ions? Copper ions are blue in color. You see blues trying to form? Now that nitric acid is now producing nitrogen gas, and if you look, do you notice about the color? It's becoming more brown. Okay, look now, look. More corrosion, and that is the brown smog. Eventually, what happens with acid rain is that your copper pennies, or copper buildings and copper fences, they'll end up looking like these types of pennies. And that's why corrosion is a big problem today. Because a lot of this is man-made. We actually produce that brown smog. Not healthy at all. Now, what happens now is,
good for you.
Let's say if I shook this, okay, you notice that I'm going to go like this, okay? So not only do you have this nitrogen thing going on here, but look at the water, the quality of that water. It's now blue. So now some of that copper has become a copper ion. Now you got blue copper ions in your water. You got to think about metal contamination and those kind of things. Okay? And that's the demo for this. All right. And let's go back to our